Yes, I. Greetings. How do you are them?
Yes, I give thanks.
Yeah, man, this is a glorious moment, a moment long in the making. The moment when we are able to greet the ones them live. Um, Yaga, everything up full. They are looking,
Yes, I give thanks.
they
Why?
are they are looking vertically challenged.
Yeah.
I so wanna look from my side.
Eh,
I don't know how I go on.
so they need to adjust their
Jump
orientation.
out and jump in back, Yaga. Or sitting.
The orientation. This-
But may I tell you say true, I no look vertically challenged.
Mm.
May I jump out
Yeah,
still?
jump in back.
Mm.
Yes, so it's a great energy to have this monumental moment. We had a test run of it previously, but now we're actually all present on the live, which is very, very good and very interesting and very opportunistic. So the item.
Yes, I. Yeah, give thanks. Thanks for the moment. This we are working for how long, not true?
Yes,
We
I.
go live.
One of the things we've been working for.
Great journey. It's been a
Yeah.
great journey, and thanks
To
to
the
all
ones who
the
have been journeyed
people
with
who,
us.
yeah, journey with I and I on
Yes,
this
sir.
strad. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, sir. Real
glorious.
energy.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so it's always a great energy when we are able to. Yes, Yaga.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, great
Good. Now,
vibration
now
there.
you're right. Yeah.
Active. Active. This is a great energy. We was just saying
Fully.
that it feels very rewarding when you really have a desire to achieve and accomplish something, and then in the moment of its accomplishment, you really feel that, you know, gratification within the self to say that their efforts and labors was not in vain. And this is one of those moments. And we want to thank our members, we want to thank our family, we want to thank everyone who's been a part of this journey so far. Um, to say, it's great to really achieve this target, and now we just want to grow on to bigger and greater heights, greater accomplishments, a greater reach, so that the mission can progress and we can accomplish those things that we really desire to accomplish. Um, Know that we are able to achieve a live um, platform. Now we want to have our members joining us so that we can have a more interactive communication and more interactive reasoning with the item, which is the goal of this. But we also want to also highlight that we still want it to be a respectful forum. We don't want it to be one where people are going to try to bring any kind of negative connotation or negative um, discourse
Vibration.
right within the reasoning. So we want to know that we are reasoning. We can have varied views, we can have different views, but we can still be respectful in the expression of these different and varied views. So today on our debut live broadcast, we want to speak to a very long-standing issue that we've been dealing with for some time now. And this is the situation in the Sudan. A very sad situation, one that has gone through many phases, because we've seen it in one area where they ended up breaking the entire Sudan into two areas. And now we've seen even one of the areas that was broken away from the original. Now they're going through their struggle where there is ongoing conflict in this region. Bingi, you want to
Mhm.
give the viewers a little history of what's going
Ye-
on right now in the Sudan?
Yeah, just a chronology of
Mm-hmm.
Sudan um, from 1881 till present, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a country, whether it was Sudan on its own or Sudan and South Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
Since 1881, Sudan has been constantly in conflict. If we think about it historically till now, then as a country, right? And they've been in conflict for the Ottoman Empire. Then comes the British, or before them was the Arabs, right? So you had these transitional period that Sudan's been going through as a country, right? Today the conflicts we see between North and South, or the separation of Sudan into North and South after the British and what do you call them? The Egyptian rule.
Egyptian.
Yeah, the Egyptian rule. You see that's still playing out today because South Sudan, is primarily Christian or follow other than North Sudanese who follow Sharia or Islamic law. You see all that playing out today. But Sudan as a country, man, if you put it into perspective, since 1881, you have recorded conflicts constantly, like, and no long periods of break for development. When you look at the time span, right, it's revolt after revolt. It's Arabs against Africans. It's constant, man. So, and there's nothing being done to really resolve the situation, right? The animosity between the North and the South, even after independence of the South, right? But even within the South, you have revolution right now. Within the South right now in Sudan, you have fighting, you have conflict. So it has been a tumultuous state for a very long time.
Right. Um, Brother Yaga, we see currently in the Sudan a conflict between two armed forces. What are the two players in this conflict presently?
Well, I might want to go block further than what we know Sudan as today, because one of my first introduction into African history before colonization was the marvel of Sudan. And Sudan history is rich enough to rival that of Egypt, because we find some of these pyramids that we talk about exist in Sudan as well, which shows how great Sudan was and we were as a people. So, as a nation and as a people, Sudan is rich in history, it is rich in culture. But what happened in 2019, the two rival forces, which is government force now, and the RSF, which is run by Amediti, is the name that him go by. These brothers were brethren, they were friends, and they unite in overthrowing the Bashir government in 2019. But then the RSF becomes so big in the north, where they control most of the gold, and Sudan is one of the world's top gold producer. So you find that the RSF now and the government was trying to get them to regularize into one army. And because they're getting so big and they're getting so powerful, and the government had to call them into fight and help them overthrow Bashir and quell the riots that was going on in Darfur. They get so big now that they said, we can do this by ourselves. We don't need to be a part of their government. So it's a fight for control between two brethren. And as customary, it is the people who are suffering. It is the people who are feeling the effect of this.
Yes, sir. Okavango,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the expression that a lot of people who are looking at this conflict, that it is a genocide? Are your views on that?
It is a
We have to be careful how we using those terminologies, yeah?
Mm.
yaga me na hear you.
The general terminology, we have to
Yeah.
use general instead of the full terminology, analyze instead of certain terminology. So we have to be careful in terms of the terminology that we
Yeah.
are using
But some of the times, yaga, we have to
for
call
obvious
things,
reasons.
as it is. You know what I mean? And that we can't never look on, you know what I mean? Cause it is a genocide, and what has been going on in Sudan, it's just a continuation, because these two army that is fighting right now is the same army who did this the same thing, killing of civilians in Darfur that was back in the early 2090s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's the
In the
same
previous
army.
struggle, in the previous
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
struggle, in
yeah.
the previous conflict,
So
yeah.
they commit all these atrocities because they were together, because the what do you call it, SAF, which is the Sudan Armed
RSF.
Force, the
Hmm.
SAF,
Yeah, the SAF. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the Sudan Armed Force, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the RSF, they
Mm-hmm.
were working together because Al Bashar controlled the Sudan army, and he used the RSF to commit the atrocities in Darfur back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Correct.
these two people right now are responsible for that genocide that happened back then. You know what I mean?
Okay, got you. Um,
Yeah.
under
So
under the you. Go ahead.
well, so I'm gonna try to say these people, we don't know why they are still there, because you know what I mean, we see how the world turn a blind eye, like, you know what I mean? Because some people say which one wrong, which one right, but both of these men should be in prison or somewhere, you know what I mean, for what they did before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Got
so
you.
you know what I mean, them splitting now and fighting against each other and committing more atrocities. It's just a continuation of, you know what I mean, what the civilians have been going through there,
Right.
because they are attacking civilians and
And
murdering
and
civilians.
preventing aid. And
Yeah,
preventing aid.
because when they got rid of Al Bashar,
I understand.
right, it's supposed to transition to a civilian rule, and these
Right.
men hacked to the power and want control, and now they are fighting for the power of it
Mm-hmm.
to commit more atrocities. It's a terrible thing,
Right.
Virgin.
All right. So if we look at the
So
United
we have to
Nations,
follow the money.
Mm-hmm. Go on, Yaga.
under the United Nations Charter of Genocide, the Genocide Charter, Article 2, it clearly outlines what actions can be classified as genocide, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
in the present convention, this is Article 2. In the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. A. Killing members of the group. B. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. C. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. D. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. And E. Forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. So these, under the United Nations Charter, are the actions which constitute an act of genocide. And based on what we're seeing going on in the Sudan, we're seeing representations of all of these
Mm-hmm.
Right.
criteria as we see it at present. Um, Now, when you made mention of the fact that these two generals were in this struggle to liberate the Sudan, and then now when once this happened, we see a kind of plot on the side of one, which is the one who was responsible for the SAF, which is the armed Sudanese armed forces, which is the government army, right? And the RSF, which was like a contracted militia group, which was used to fight, according to the rhetoric, the
Mm-hmm.
insurgents or the jihadists, right? They
Mm-hmm.
said they were using them to fight. No, what we see the SAF doing is they're saying, okay, well, going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to now incorporate the RSF into the army.
Mm-hmm.
So this now would be basically a demotion for the person, the general that's in charge of the RSF, because now he would become now under the person who's in charge of the Sudanese armed forces. So
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the primary things that we see that caused or led to this conflict, because they say no, but okay, if we even do that, who's going to be the leader of this joint group? Who is going to be in charge of this group? And that's where we see the conflict arising out of, from a very simplistic interpretation of everything that we see, because we know that it is a long-standing conflict with which has multiple
Yeah, but
um
that's kind of what these two people are saying.
mhm,
Because what the people, the civilians want was
mhm.
Al Bashar
Civilian
out
rulership. Mhm,
and a civilian government. In
mhm.
these two hijack that.
That
Right.
process.
Yeah, them hijack the
Yeah,
process
I think they said there was something saying that they were given a year to bring about this civilian rulership. They were given there. I think they were given a year that they would be
I
under the
not
military
remember
rulership
how
The
long it
until
was.
transition
transition
period,
into,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but them
yes. I
hijack
think
the
they were.
process and the SAF man take control and then say him a go he's gonna
You're gonna control.
integrate the RSF. But I'm not
Mhm.
saying both these people are should be war criminals. Are
All
war
war
criminals, by the way.
criminals.
Are war
Mhm.
But you
criminals.
have to remember, you know, you have to remember when the Darfur conflict are go
Conflict.
on
Mhm.
or the crisis are go on in a 2003 to present. See, when them bring in the RSF, them brought them in under the name, they were called the Janjaweed at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Janjaweed.
Yeah. Mhm.
Tangerine.
And the Janjaweed mean men are devils and ours. And they were raping children and women and men. They were unaliving people and they were committing a lot of genocide within the region. So now they rebranded and come under this name.
RSF.
We find out that in the region where they are now, seeing they control a lot of the resources, so they are able to sell the gold and buy weapons. And you find that a lot of the weapons originate from the UK, who is supposed to be a nation which upholds democracy and principles. But you find that nonetheless, they didn't sell the weapon to them directly, but the weapon end up in there. So where's the
The,
recourse and who is being held accountable and held to
well,
justice for this?
Yaga, I think the UK upholds democracy, not
Uphold, right?
oppose.
Uphold. Yeah. Yeah,
Apple.
man.
Right.
So now we are at the section now where we talk about what's fueling this
Mhm.
this conflict, right?
Right.
Because these men are fighting, they're fighting for a long time. They need weapons, they need money. You know what I
But
mean?
outside influences, they're
So
supporting
we're gonna
both
talk
sides.
about outside influence. We see that there's
Yes.
a lot of outside
Yes.
influence, and we notice that we don't see the conflict on traditional media. It's not on traditional media. This is Bingy, I know you can check the numbers for me, but the numbers, all the conflicts are going on together. More people have been have died in Sudan. more
I think
people
the
have
number
been
so far is
And
over
displaced. You
150,000
have more
deaths.
displaced people
Yeah.
as well.
more displaced people. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
mean? More
yes,
children, death
8
of
million
yes,
children.
people.
Huh?
Displaced.
It is said that 8 million people have been displaced.
yes,
8 million
yes,
has been
yes,
displaced, right?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Over
yes,
400,000 have lost their life.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy.
And we know say is that like an ethnic thing I go on to, where because it all start from the Arabs who claim they are
Yeah,
Arab speaking
from the
people
north.
are
Mm-hmm.
fighting against the people that non Arab speaking people. Because
Yeah,
that's
Mm-hmm.
from the
the
south.
people so
Yeah,
because the general as Yaga is talking about happen to people who are non-Arab speaking people. But
and
but let's go back
and
to
you have
the
a religious thing going on as well too.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Right.
most likely the Arab speaking
Yes,
people
Christian
are
Islam.
Muslims and the
the
non-Arab speaking
Muslims.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but back to the issue of outside players, right?
Right.
What's fueling the war that's going on? What's fueling?
Ooh.
Who is giving money? Who is
Well,
giving the arms?
oh, Yaga just had identified one alleged
One
source
player.
being the UK,
Yeah.
who
Who
are
else?
supplying. Another thing that I've found in the research is that the UAE, United Arab Emirates,
Yes.
they're listed as playing an integral role in supporting. I believe they're supporting the RSF.
The RSF.
It's alleged.
RSM.
They are
I
the
believe. Yeah.
major supporter of the RSF.
Mhm.
They
RSF.
deny it,
Hmm.
but they are the
They deny
major
it.
supporter of the
Right.
RSF. And
Hmm.
for the SAF, you have one of the major supporter is Saudi Arabia. You have
Hmm.
Turkey, Iran, Russia, China. So and more people
Supporting
supporting
the
the
RAF.
SAF. The
SAF.
SAF. The
SAF.
SAF.
Right.
Right?
Hmm.
And now if you have a look at it, why these outside players, what is the make you know these people have interest
Hmm.
in the
Earth minerals.
for the
Earth
for
minerals.
for the UAE, it's gold.
They want the gold.
They
Hmm.
want
Good.
is the goal, right? And because the UAE one of the biggest, even though they don't have the gold mine, it's
Gold
one of the
traders.
biggest
They're one of the
supplier
largest
of
gold
gold.
traders in the
And
world.
the UAE has
Hmm.
been doing it for a while because the UAE has been accused of doing the same thing in the Congo.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
There's so much gold coming out of Africa. I think there's a 58% of the gold coming out of in the
All the
UAE is
gold.
coming out of Africa
Africa.
Hmm.
and our conflict areas. You understand?
Right.
Right.
Hmm.
So
But
the
we don't.
SAF
But
is
it bigger than that. It's bigger than that because why are we not? No one is condemning the UAE and
they
always.
won't.
Eh? They
They
won't.
won't. No, and they won't because remember, to the end of the day, they're saying too is an Arab problem that Arabs are dealing with. Like literally. That's how they classify it, because if what you're saying is true, you're saying the SAF is backed by Egypt, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
so nobody is gonna talk about it. What happens in these
Hmm.
countries that we are really privy to in that sense, though, or conventional media broadcasting
Hmm.
this atrocity that's going on
Yeah.
when they
Yaga
have no
always
real
say.
interest?
Yaga always say follow the money. So
Follow the money.
let's follow the money. Right?
Yeah,
The UAE need the goal. No, the RSF need the money to fuel the war because they're fighting for
right.
power.
So they get a goal.
The UAE need the goal, but it doesn't stop there
Right.
because no one is condemning the UAE. Why no one is condemning the
Hmm.
UAE? The UAE is oil rich and have a lot of money to buy arms. This is the same arms they send to the RSF fueling the war.
Hmm.
And where they get the arms from? The UAE is a big ally, a major ally in West Asia of the United States. And they
Mm.
buy most of the arms from the United States. By the way, they just have this big contract where they're going to spend billions on arms from the
Mm,
United States.
mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you condemn the UAE, you're stopping that line of
That
the
stream of
streamline. You know what I
liquidity.
Money,
mean? So
money, money.
why I'm gonna say okay, the UAE is doing something wrong when I'm making money from it? So you see,
Mm-hmm. Right.
yeah.
Yep.
And
So
it's
again,
not
in
only
which we
US them
were
buying weapons
The
from, them buy
Sudan,
also from France,
no.
from England. So and all those weapons come in the UAE and then go into Sudan to support the war.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Yaga.
So the UAE is a transshipment port.
Yes, yes, I.
UAE has denied all the claims that all
Mm-hmm.
the major experts are pointing the finger at them and all the evidence that are showing. As a matter of fact, Sudan has brought them to the ICC,
Mm.
and the ICC report has suggested that there is no evidence to support the claim, contrary to what the experts are saying. Now, in terms of other resources like land, water, those are scarcity within the Gulf region.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been buying up a lot of land. And these are known fact. These are known fact that they have been buying up a lot of land across Africa because they need to produce food. They need to need food security. And in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that, they have to produce because they are practically a desert within the Gulf region. And majority of the food that they need comes from outside.
It's imported.
So I think we can, as we've alluded to, that the response from the international community is abysmal. It's almost as if they've chosen to ignore this ongoing conflict for so long, and one that is racking much higher numbers than any of the other conflicts that they're paying so much attention to
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is a major conflict in the world. And again, we see one, an indication of how little they value African people, one, and two, to show that as long as they're able to benefit fiscally or um, on a resource level, then they are willing to ignore the atrocities and injustices being meted out against African people. And what this means for us is that as African people, we are the ones who are responsible to adding our voices to this um, movement to let the people of the world know that this is utterly unacceptable and something has to be done about this. And we are calling for those parties that are involved in this, are fueling this conflict, to be held accountable.
I think they don't have no. It's not just African people. They don't have no sympathy for whatever. Is you they don't have no for humanity. You know what I mean?
Ah,
They lack humanity. Once they can make money off anything, you know what I mean? That's what they really go off of money. Once money is there, you know what I mean? That's where they are. You know what I mean? These people are.
And access to the Red Sea from Sudan is critical and integral in all of this as well. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it brings us to the point where we want to look at the pathway for peace in Sudan and for the people who are facing all this atrocity, the millions of people who are displaced, the people who've lost their family members, and the people who are suffering. What are some of the ways that we as African people can demand justice and demand peace?
One way I think that we can do that is we can blatantly or obviously stop showing support for these people who we are identifying as fueling these conflicts. So if we can identify that this nation is contributing to these conflicts, then we stop visiting these places. We stop supporting them by buying goods from these places. We
and
have to
stop living
critically
there.
say, yes, yes, yes. I
That's the
agree.
last one. Oh
I
boy.
agree.
And
I
move.
agree. I agree.
Pack your
I agree.
bags.
Yes, I agree.
Pack
I
your bags
agree.
Pack
and
your
go
bag.
I
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
agree.
before they
we
come
have
for
to
you.
have self accountability. You know what
Yeah.
Yes,
I
I.
mean? Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
But but
So
but in a region so torn, right? Historically, right? How do you
Mm-hmm.
really come to some type of understanding or unity, a unified understanding that this place could be governed and you have this, this rule of law that everybody agree with and it's justified, right? How in a place that historically, right, all through the history, you've seen this conflict, right? And even we talking about being part of the Kush Empire. We think about how great Sudan, how great a country it is, and you're talking about Kush, right? So even coming through the
Not just the
ages,
country,
ye-
civilization. The
yeah,
civilization
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
existed
yeah,
there.
but
Because
but I'm
The
saying,
the
people
how
country is
how do
new. The
you?
country is new.
Yeah, but I'm saying though,
But
the
the
even
people
through
Yeah.
civilization is
history,
ancient.
right?
People.
The country, the people. How do you take a country like Sudan or South Sudan, right? What does it really take in reality to have these people unified in their understanding is one country, one
people
people? How?
bingy. You see the people them see themselves as Muslims
Different.
and Christians. They don't see
Christians.
themselves as Africa. And they don't realize how great the piece of land was before all of them things start
Yes,
going. They
I.
don't realize the impact and the role the land of Sudan play historically
Historically. Yes,
in our history.
yes,
But
yes.
we need to see international pressure and accountability and where people are brought to justice for war crimes.
It are no war
They have
crimes,
to
yeah.
pay for the
It don't
crimes
have
that
no
they have
war
committed.
crimes. It don't have no war crimes. You don't have that. People always talk about war crime. War is the crime. It are no war crimes. War. That is the crime. It can't war crimes. A man fighting in a war. War is the crime. You don't committing a crime. It are no
Yeah.
rules of engagement. Where's the rules of engagement? I have a bigger bomb than you. I kill more people than you. It are no war crime.
Yeah, man.
War. That's the crime. That's
Yeah,
what we
man.
gotta get past.
War is a crime. You
War
know
is
what I
a
mean?
crime,
But
I.
but but you see, and you are back to colonization because at some point these people were living together. You know what I mean? At some point they were living
Mm-hmm.
together, building the biggest pyramid in the world is in
Mm,
Sudan, right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So at some point they were living together, and you know what I mean. We know we like
Right.
a conflict, but not conflict like this. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
not conflict where because you speak a different
A
language.
language
Because you know
or of a different view.
those are the lines. You know, those are the lines. You speak a
Mm-hmm.
different language,
Yeah.
you have to go. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. It's a terrible thing, man. It's a terrible
Yaga
thing.
also asks, what can we do to end the conflict again? So I want to make reference to the AES,
The
right?
AEA.
And how AES,
Yes. Yeah.
the
Oh,
the
okay,
in
okay,
the in the
okay.
Sahel
Sahel.
Mm-hmm.
region, right? In the Sahel, the alliance of Sahel states, right? So um we see where these countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, they broke away from ECOWAS, established a link, them build a link, well, a cooperation amongst these
Mm-hmm.
states, right? And we see where ECOWAS was saying they wanted to take action against Mali because they decided to break away as well. And the other members of the AES said, no, if you do that, we're going to see this as a act of war. and we're going to take military action against that as well. So we see them coming together to oppose these acts, right? So if we cannot see African states coming together to show solidarity for African people that are going through these conflicts and these atrocities, then we're not likely to see an end to it anytime soon, because it is going to take African people to solve African problems. Just like how Bingy said earlier, that one of the reasons why they're not looking at this, because they're looking at it and say it's Arab people problem, so the Arabs have to solve them own problem. So African people are faced with this conflict, this prolonged conflict as well, and they're the ones who have to know organize themselves towards putting a stop to this as well, both in the continent and in the diaspora. Because I'm
We
not
need to see a
separating Africans
ceasefire.
as just people on the continent.
We need to see a ceasefire between the SAF and the RSF,
And the
where
RSF.
they can open humanitarian corridors and give access, to food to the millions of people who have been displaced, and
Yeah.
shelter, and medicine to treat the wounded and people who are ill. So these
Yeah.
are something that we need
One
to see.
report says over 24 million people are facing an acute food insecurity. Over 24
million
million people in
people.
the Sudan are facing an acute
As
food
as I said
insecurity.
earlier, to stop it, we have to follow the money. We need to stop the money line, right?
Mhm.
And we
First,
need to pressure the
the
international community, man.
right, the US, United States need to stop sending arms, put it on hold to the UAE. You know what I mean? To stop taking their money for arms. Put pressure on the UAE to stop sending arms to the RSF,
The
and
Sudan.
that will end the conflict, because they wouldn't have the guns and the bombs and the money to fight the war. But
And that's not
but
and that's
that
Is
not gonna
that
expected on
won't
happen.
the opposite side as well.
and that won't end
That's
it. That
expected on
won't
the
end the war,
opposite side as
But at
well.
least it will stop what's going on now. And then the SAF, we need them also to hand over the country to civilian government, because both of them and both these men should be tried in court for
For crimes against
the crimes
humanity.
against humanity,
Crimes against humanity.
and
Mhm.
going all the way back to to the Darfur
To
and
the previous
previous conflicts.
conflict.
Yeah, man. I
Mhm.
I think
Yes, sir.
only one person has been tried for this, for all this that is going on. Only one person has been tried
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
from the
But
Darfur time till now. Can you imagine that? When the
but what
whole
we what
Darfur
we
thing
So
was
when you
really
so
say he
big.
has
talking
been tried,
about
when you
though
say he has
is
been tried, right? What was the outcome of this trial?
I think
yeah.
he went to jail, man. He went to jail. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
him only went to jail because he feared for his life in Sudan, so he gave up himself.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
can't remember his name right now.
But
The
what we
world
talking
cannot
about is
continue.
all the outside players really coming together and agreeing to have a ceasefire. That's what we
And that's
and
not
how
gonna
do you
happen.
get all the outside players to do that when they all seek
They're
in their
not. That's not
own
gonna happen.
interests? They
Bingy,
all seek in
Bingy,
their own
this is
interests.
it for them. This is it for them.
They cannot continue to look
Look,
away,
look
Bingy.
now. This is it for them. Save African life or make a lot of money. You
Make
know
a
what I
lot
mean?
of money.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
African life have done it. But
Make
don't
a
have
lot
to
of
go and make
money.
them money.
Yeah.
Hmm. So that's why it's so important for the African people, both on the continent and in the diaspora, to stand in solidarity with the victims in the Sudan and give it the voice that it needs. Because one media house reported this conflict as the forgotten war,
Mm,
as in there's a war that's going on, but nobody remembers by choice. So it's like selective amnesia.
mhm.
Oh, we're not gonna remember that because we're making a lot of money
African
around here out of
Union
that. So we're not. Hmm.
and the leaders of Africa cannot continue to look the other way and pretend
Yes,
as
sir.
if nothing is happening.
It's happening. Hmm.
They have to stand up
Yes,
and
sir.
be counted.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
All right, that
Yeah, man.
Yes.
man.
So we do give thanks for the moment. We do give thanks for the opportunity to reason with the ones them. It was a great energy. And we look forward to many more of this kind where we'll have more people interactively joining the discussion and we can come to some consensus on these topics. I think I wanted to speak of as well. This week we saw where they successfully delivered some fuel to this region in Mali, where Niger delivered some fuel to this region in Mali where they were undergoing a great fuel shortage. So I just wanted to highlight that that was a very extraordinary thing. I think they say they brought the fuel over several thousand kilometers. They had to bring it under armed guard as well, because what was happening was that they were attacking these
Dada,
deliveries and taking
Dada,
them
wrap it up
away.
because
So
we
yeah,
know your way access. Some